How is everyone? Is everyone curling this week?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Curling like a madman.
good. I like to hear it. I played in a Bonspiel last weekend, which was fun,
Nice.
despite two crushing losses. Just gonna pull the agenda
Well,
up here.
we managed to win our fall league Sunday night, followed by a potluck, which was a lot of fun.
Good. All right, I'm gonna get started, I think. I don't know if Lauren is on. She's probably ready to uh, uh, lose her mind with Sport 80. But first, just on any Sport 80 issues, I want to say that I appreciate the patience of anyone on the call or any of your members, because we understand that it's the complexity is more than any of us would like right now. It will get better after November 30th. And we are basically going to go to Sport 80 and say we need this resolved for next season, or we will end up shopping for someone else. Now, that said, we've never found a really good alternative. So if anybody wants to do a sports organization CMS startup software company, I'd say go for it. I think it's a good category that's wide open. Um, but so I think one thing to take back as club council reps is if you don't know if your board has a roster submission plan and how they're doing that, and if you don't know if they're aware of the November 30th deadline to take advantage of the rebate in this year, uh, I would suggest that you prompt them, or that would be helpful for both the club and for us. Memberships expire on November 30th. We have created some workarounds for the championships that require things like an upgrade or championship. After that time, we are also holding, I think I might have said this in the last meeting, but holding off on other championship registrations until after December 1st. So, um, Lauren, if you have anything you want to add beyond your frustration, feel free to jump in here.
Just kind of echoing what Dean said, that we really appreciate the patience with anybody who's had to do anything with any sort of playdown registration so far this season. I know it's not an easy or intuitive process at all in general, and then this year has been made worse by the complications of you guys not being able to manage your own upgrades for the time being. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody's patience. If you have questions, I know I mentioned this on the competitor call that we had a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know if I mentioned this at the to you guys at the club council. If you know anyone who's registering for an event and they're having trouble, or if you are trying to register for something and you're having trouble, don't hesitate to click the contact support button at the bottom of the screen. Those tickets come to me. Um, I get a handful of tickets that people are like, I've wasted hours working on this, and sometimes it's a really easy fix for me. So don't hesitate to hit that button, and hopefully I can help you and save you some time and frustration. Also, if you're not aware already, there is a walkthrough of the registration process in our house under the My USA Curling or My USA Curling user guide. I can drop a link to that in the chat. I think I've probably linked that a few times, but just trying to make sure everybody knows that that's out there.
Thanks, Lauren. Any questions on that? Or is anybody want to share any frustrations that members or your club might have had? You know, we don't mind if you share those because it might help us find some solutions, but you certainly, I think, Lauren's advice is what to do right now. Again, we're not happy with how the process is going, but we do know it'll get better, or we hope it'll get better after November 30th. So, um, I don't know if this may be not be new information to some of you, but I did put on instructor clinics and ice tech clinics, and the model we use. This model, by the way, for instance, the level 1 instructor course, we changed that model, I guess, just 2 years ago to incentivize clubs to host and then to also have members. So the current way it works is we set up and manage the registration, online registration for the course. We provide a course conductor who we compensate. The course conductor delivers the level 1 material. Upon completion of the course, successful completion, and Safe Sport First Aid certification, which we want people to get before they take the course, we award the level 1 patches to participants. So you can look at this one way, though. The host fee is technically $600 per course. That's what the club will pay. But we recommend what our standard fee to take the course is $60 a person. So you can say that once you have 10 people registered, the club can consider that host fee paid. And then after that point, the host retains all of the revenue from the registration. So if you get to 20 people, you get $600 to the club. If we book one and you still want to do it and you don't get to 10 people and $600, we'll bill the club for the shortfall. So ideally, we're trying to get to at least 10. Some host clubs want a number of their members to take it, so they will just elect to pay that $600 fee directly and then offer the course to its members free of charge. We do ask the host club to, if you're going to provide lunch or snacks, to take those expenses on, provide the meeting space. And we do ask the host club to cover travel and any net accommodations for course conductors. Now, one of the reasons we've tried to increase the number of course conductors we have is because we want to limit the cost of travel. There was a time, I think when I started my development role, we had 11 course conductors around the country. So we've been pretty aggressive in trying to increase the number of course conductors so that travel costs can be kept to a minimum, and we'll continue to do that. Does anybody have any questions on that model? So I will say in the previous model, until 2 years ago, there's really no way for the club to capture any revenue. So we do try to incentivize the club to capture some revenue here. And we did not used to compensate the course conductors, which I think is just a fair thing to do. Just going to open up the chat. Sorry. Course instructors, Jeff's asking how many course conductors are we up from 11? I don't know off the top of my head, Jeff, but I would, it's quite a bit more. I mean, we had 11, and I think when I was in my development role, only 6 were actually active. So, I mean, that meant, if a club wanted to do a course, we had, people were flying to deliver these courses. So we really want to get away from that.
Hi, Dean, it's Cliff here from Triangle.
In fact, I'm doing one coming up.
Yeah,
go ahead, Cliff.
I took one of the original course conductors, but it's lapsed, and I haven't seen any more course conductor courses.
So you did it online. You did online early, right? The first ones we did.
Right, one of the first ones, yeah, but it's lapsed now. It's been two years, I guess.
Yeah, it shouldn't lapse. Like, we're not kicking out course conductors.
Well, it's lapsed.
So
it's Sports 80 says it's expired.
Okay.
So
well,
I go to Sport 80, it says my course conductor has expired.
Course conductor cert, is that? We'll dig into that, Cliff, but it may be related to. But I don't believe we have settings that would make it expire after a certain number of years. And it could be something like first aid certification you have to renew, somebody's suggesting. But we'll look at yours.
That's all current for me.
The course conductor, the level 1
Lauren.
course conductor certifications do expire after 2 or 3 years. We can talk about changing that. It's not something that I
requiring people to retake it.
Yeah, that's probably something we should look at.
Yeah,
I think it
well,
was probably just set to a default when it was set up. And
Yeah.
we can figure that out and extend those.
well, I'd still like to take it
Yeah.
again anyway as a refresher, because I haven't actually taught a course in 2 years, so.
Okay. Well, I think we'll fix that, Cliff. I'm glad you brought it to our attention because I mean, personally, I've said this in other venues. I don't think rogue course conductors is a problem for USA Curling. So I'm quite confident you'd still be able to deliver the course. But happy that you are interested in doing a refresher. And Lauren in the chat says we now have 64 level 1 course conductors. So we'll Robert asks how much on ice time needs to be rented. We try to be flexible with arena clubs, Robert. So, for instance, Long Island is the one I'm going to do in December. I think we have 2 hours on the ice. So, if you really want to do it in an arena club, we don't want to, make it financially impossible for you either. So, tell us how much ice time you think you can have, and we'll work around that. Because I know it's more challenging for arena clubs. And just for people who aren't in the chat, Lauren's also posted the form to request a course. So we'll get that dependency fixed, Cliff. It's probably a good idea to retake it, but I'm sure you could deliver it if you needed to. Any other questions related to the course level 1 process? All right. And then the other one to review that we want to cover is just the ice technician, the club ice technician. So for people who don't know, we've moved to following World Curling and the World Academy of Sport and their levels. So we've launched the Curling Club Ice Technician Assessment. I will say, I don't know if anybody on here has taken it, but all the feedback we've had from these courses has been really positive, and that's a credit to the group of 6 people we've trained to deliver it. So including Lauren, Sean, I don't know if Frank's delivered one, and Greg Eisenhower up at the Country Club has delivered one as well. So we invested, just so people know, we invested about etc. with World Curling to train a group. So it was not insignificant expense. So the cost to take the course is $600, and then there is another online course you take through World Curling. So I know that sounds like an expensive course, and obviously if it's just on your volunteer ice tech to pay that, it's substantial. What I do encourage is for clubs to consider that a value to their club, getting their ice tech trained a little better. So a lot of clubs will pay that for their ice tech, whether they're volunteer or paid ice tech. So for that, it's $600. There's compensation for the people, some compensation for the people who deliver the course. We provide $10 per participant per day for lunch that the host is responsible for putting together. We do need some ice time for that. Lauren can correct me, but we like to keep the numbers to about 1 instructor for every 5 people, and we like to have 1 sheet per instructor, and it's approximately 10 hours of ice time over 2 days. So on the ice, so we recognize that can be, clubs have to plan around that as well. But so that's a little bit of background on that. We provide 1 educator for it, depending, and then as the class grows, we add more as necessary. So, obviously not an inexpensive thing. We do, if your club decides to agrees to host one, we give you one paid registrant. So your own club ice tech take it, that ice tech would be free. So Any questions on that? I think what's worth noting, and the reason I'm explaining it to all of you this way, is was a pretty, like I said, a not insignificant investment in being a part of this program and getting the training done. We actually had it at Rock Creek over a number of days, 2 summers ago, 2 summers ago, I guess. So, yeah. Better ice at your club and maybe a more well-maintained facility, I think it's a pretty good investment. Any questions on that one?
Jeff has a question in the chat asking how many students could one clinic accommodate? And that's going to be dependent on the size of the facility, the equipment available, the ice time available. I think we had about 18 people at the first clinic in Chaska. We had a number of instructors there. They have 2 scrapers, so we were able to split between the 2 different ponds of sheets that they have, and work in groups that way. If you have 1 scraper, that's probably going to limit the class size quite a bit. And like Dean said, we try to keep it to 5 students per instructor so that we can make sure that everybody's getting the hands-on and attention that they need for this class.
Yeah, so
Awesome,
we've run
thanks.
them. We try to make them. We're trying to move them around regionally as well. So we've done one. We did the first one at Chaska with a lot of participants, but we've also done one at Evergreen in Portland, and we did one at Ardsley in New York. And we're talking to Mike O'Brien, who's on this call, I think, about doing one in Superior, just in advance at the Superior Club in advance of the Nationals in Duluth, because we'll have our Nationals ice crew in the area. So that certainly helps make it a little easier to do if we can make that work. But yes, obviously it takes a bit of planning. So if your club is interested, let us know, and we can work through it. I haven't heard, like I said, I'll repeat it once more. I haven't heard anybody who took it who didn't really appreciate the process. And what they learned. So the cost is essentially you'll get comped there's no fee, but you'll get comped for providing the club. You'll get comped the cost of 1 participant.
So it's, in that sense, it's a contrast to the instructor courses, where with the
Right.
instructor courses, the club is paying a fee to host the class. With the ice tech courses, the club is being compensated, like Dean said, with 1 entry to the ice tech course.
Robert's asking if it's appropriate for arena ice managers. Probably tricky, right, Lauren?
Yeah, I think it depends on the goal and what you mean by arena ice managers. The class isn't going to cover things like how to drive the Zamboni. That would be more of a specific to arena ice training. We would cover things that will be valuable if your club is able to host a bonspiel, do some flooding, some pebbling. We would be able to discuss things that might be able to improve the arena ice conditions that you have at your club. And then obviously, if your club is planning to move to dedicated ice, then this would be a great opportunity to train your prospective ice technicians for that. In addition, just to kind of adding on to that, I don't know if you've checked, I'd have to look and see exactly where it is. I believe it's under club management, but in our house, and I'll drop another.
Operations,
Yeah. We have a few articles that the Arena Working Group has put together over the last couple of years that are trying to ease and improve arena ice conditions in whatever small ways we can, and share some knowledge for arena clubs. So I'm putting that in the chat as well.
Know that Lauren started curling at an arena club, so we want to be as helpful as possible, but we also don't want somebody to take the course with different expectations. But I think that sums it up pretty well. Any other questions on the ice tech training? In the past, you may get questions from people at your club or from board members, because we did used to have our own USA Curling level 1, level 2 sort of things that really fell fell to the wayside for some reason over the years. So rather than reinvent the wheel, we thought it was good to take advantage of this resource. So this will bring you in line with the international standards. Speaking of arenas, I'll jump into the Arena Club Nationals recap. I think it was for, I don't know how many, I know we have a number of Arena Club reps on here. If you've heard anything back from your participants, certainly happy to hear it now. We do have and you can also, I should also let you know, we have a survey going out, and we'll have results from that survey pretty shortly. But you know, our anecdotal feedback has been positive, but happy to hear if somebody else has heard that feedback or different feedback.
Hey, Dean.
Yep.
I have just heard from a couple of the curlers that went to arenas, and they really enjoyed it. They really loved the facility and how it was ran.
Good. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop there, Teresa. That was
No.
it. I was waiting for a but. Here
No,
are the things. Yeah.
I didn't hear any buts. They really had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, we have go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, out in our neck of the woods, nothing but positive feedback from all the teams I talked to, and in fact, one of the volunteers from Wausau dropped in on our doorstep to come watch our curling in Tahoe, and they were just raving about how much their club enjoyed having the arena curlers there, and our curlers were very pleased with the whole week. So
It's great. It's a good curling community story there, Eric. Thank you.
yeah,
The Wausau Club really is, I mean, we're grateful every time they agree to host something, and there's Kim Susan's there and Steve O'Keefe, but especially Kim, this was fantastic. So I also give the arena curlers credit for drinking 3 kegs of Dales. So well done, arena curlers. So and so that was great. I will say you wouldn't have known it. It wasn't like the crowd, by the way, was falling down or anything. So it was great. We did a pretty spirited auction. That was fun. And I think we had really good finals and playoff games. So all great. And I know there's been debate about, like I've said in the past, it's just financially, it doesn't make sense for us to put this event in an arena and prep the ice, etc. But then we also find that it's a pretty nice experience for arena curlers to get to play in a club like Wausau or Mesabi or one of our bigger dedicated ice clubs. I'm glad to hear they agreed on live streaming, Robert. I'll say what I've always said. We'd like all our events to be live streamed, but we have the financial resources to live stream 3 events ourselves, which we do. With Curling Stadium. And obviously when clubs have live streaming, we're happy to share whatever they're doing. Wausau, to their credit, literally installed a Curling Stadium system that I think started operating about 8 hours before the championship started. So it worked without glitches. Teresa, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to reiterate, Dean. I did also hear from our arena curlers. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
No, you're good. Go ahead. Yep.
That we do appreciate it being in a dedicated facility. I have heard multiple times that it feels like arena curlers are having it in an arena, like in a dedicated facility, that they feel like they're being treated like dedicated curlers and that it is a national championship. So I just wanted to reiterate from our standpoint that we do appreciate how USA Curling treats arena nationals, and that our curlers do get to experience that in a dedicated club.
Thank you, Teresa. I will say one thing too, just if people ask about national championships and why they matter, one of the things we do at our it seems like a small thing, but we take this big welcome to nationals flag to every national championship and we have people sign it. And the reason behind that is we want everybody who's in a national championship to feel part of the same community. So there's recognition and there's honor in competing, and that doesn't matter whether it's arena nationals or senior nationals or our men's and women's nationals. So we are trying to really to move that along. Just a couple updates on men's and women's nationals and Olympic trials. So the men's and women's nationals in Duluth, tickets are on sale for that. We've had good opening ticket sales. So if you're thinking about going, or if people at your club are considering it, think about moving quickly. We're thrilled with the opening week we had. Trials tickets for the mixed doubles trials in Rock Creek are also on sale. I don't if anybody's never on this call, if people at your club have not been to Rock Creek's facility, it's really a great place to take in curling, and I know they'll do a great job. So hopefully people consider those ticket purchases too. And then Sioux Falls, we're close to putting those tickets on sale as well. Even though that event's just about a year out, we're going to get those tickets on sale pretty shortly too. There are some. I don't know if there's any Minnesota reps on here, but the Minnesota Curling Association also has a bus hotel package they're working on. And we're partnering with Dales on that as well. So there are some things like that going on if you're a Minnesota club with the MCA. But we're working pretty hard to make this one feel, continue to try to improve. It's an older arena, but it's a pretty cool arena. So, yeah, so just news for folks back at your club or any of you are considering that trip. Any other questions related to that? Those two events? If you're looking for the links for ticket sales, you'll see they're on our site. There's a news release where you'll find news releases where you'll find links as well. Number 5 on the agenda, I had NCC RFP. For people who don't know what NCC is, that's National Curling Center. So this is an ambitious long-term goal of USA Curling, hopefully not as long. Thanks, Bernie. Buy those tickets, man. Appreciate it. Hopefully not super long-term, to be honest, but we would really like to, we're hoping to partner with developers and municipality on a national curling center kind of place that would be both a place where people can curl regularly, but also make it ready to host events, both some of our events and also world curling events, and also potentially Grand Slams. Try to create a place that's unlike any other. So we do have an RFP for that, and we have had interest from some cities. So we're and developers. So we're pursuing that. If anybody wants to see that RFP, just let me know. Email me and I'll share it. Obviously, there are some locations that in the short term might make more sense than others, but we're not restricting it by that. Quite honestly, to make this happen, we'll need to go where we get the best deal on, or the best partnership. Let's put it that way. So whether that's a public-private partnership or a developer who sees the business model. Everybody likes your cat, Cliff. So you got that.
Eric's had his hand raised for a while.
Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I just don't know how to unraise my hand. But
Okay.
backtracking, we were talking a little bit about arena, and I just wanted to mention it was really special for our region because Jerome Larson, who we lost this year, this was his baby, and to see the Mopac teams do so well, and for me to see the level of play has gone up at this event where they're sneaking up to the club level of play, which is kind of cool to watch. So the growth over the years and the vision that Jerome had, I was just proud of. That's all.
As you should be. I said it quite honestly in the closing ceremonies. I said I was impressed that the level of play is it's the third year, I guess, that I've attended it, and I've seen the level of play, increase. So it's great to see, and great to see some rivalries, and of course, Mopac had a big weekend, so great for all of you. Number 6 I had was Dale's activations. I'll throw it out. Has anybody had, their sales reps and distributors are sort of fanning out now to member clubs, so your club may have been contacted. If they haven't and you want to be, just reach out to me. But I don't know if anybody on here can share if they have. I mean, I know my club in New Jersey, they were contacted. Some of these Dales in Cape Cod, thrilled to see that. The other thing I will tell you is they're developing like a club Bonspiel kit. So as you, if you talk to whether it's the rep or the distributor, make sure you share Bonspiels you have and events, because there are extra things they're going to be interested in doing. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, the distributor for I'm at the Columbus Curling Club in Ohio. The distributor that I work with that carries Dale's actually just reached out this week while I was traveling, so I need to get back to them. But they offered to put a banner up in the club, so which is part of our sponsorship growth anyway. So I was really excited that they are being proactive about that. Took us a few orders to actually get it in stock, but I think it'll be on the truck tomorrow. So
well, that's great to hear. Appreciate
Yeah.
that, Jeff. And one of the things, they've been a little slower than they might have liked to have been, but they're going through this. They've been through this merger of sorts with Monster, so now they're Monster Brewing. So, and there's still a few. I mean, I have a list of all their sales reps, distributors around the country. So, and I've certainly made a number of introductions. So sometimes a sales rep will say, "Oh, I wasn't able to get in, so I'll introduce them." And if any of you or your clubs have trouble making those connections, don't hesitate to reach out. Chris. I think you're toggling between muted and unmuted. Looks like unmuted, but I don't have a great connection. Can anybody else hear Chris? No. Chris, I'll come back to you. Chris from Oregon, Evergreen. So yeah, again, appreciate all the support of member clubs on the Dales thing. It's important to us to make that sponsorship valuable. Of course, they are sponsoring, they're part of the sponsorship of 7 national championships, so that's another way they're activating it. But getting in member clubs is a huge bonus for them. And it seems to be pretty good beer too. And they have more beer coming out, by the way. A designated Dales non-alcoholic beer, for instance, and the Easy IPA is already out, I think. Do you stock Treehouse? I don't know what Treehouse is. Is that our distributor cannot get the more popular, highly rated ones. Oh, really? In Oregon? I'll follow up with Dales, Chris, to see how they can get that resolved. So I'll follow up with Ken and say that's what's happening there. Typically, they've been pretty good once we do that. Lauren is saying Lauren did send me a picture of the tall boys, so we'll get it squared away. I know Phil in Seattle, they've been in touch with the rep too. I don't know how wide the rep goes, if there's this Northwest rep. So, and obviously I'll be honest, some reps are better than others. Some are all in with jumping all over this, and some I think maybe aren't convinced that it's as good as it is. Once they find a few clubs and start selling kegs of beer, they'll be pretty happy. Finally, I guess that's it for me. Really would just like to, I don't want to talk the whole time here, so happy to open it up to any other questions or thoughts, or anything else you want to share, frustration or.
Hi, Dean. It's Cliff here,
Hey, Cliff.
Triangle. I have an email from our DEI team Now, I don't know if this is the right forum for this. They are trying, or we are trying, the club is trying to get a little bump in our wheelchair curling. As of
Okay.
today, we've been open 10 years now. We don't have a single wheelchair curler.
Yeah.
We're finding it very hard to get them involved with the club. We're wondering what resources USA Curling has. I mean, we have a facility that can accommodate
Yeah.
wheelchair curlers, but it's not huge. Our locker rooms are small. The door is just a regular door, and there's a wooden ramp down to the ice, which is got to be fixed. But we have one wheelchair curler in our instructor course right now, but we have only one wheelchair instructor.
Right.
We don't have anyone. I mean, I know nothing about wheelchair curling except what I took at the World Curling Academy course, which was pretty lame. It's about an hour and a half all about curling and maybe 30 minutes of wheelchair specific curling. So that wasn't really that helpful, except I know piston and pendulum now, which is how you throw piston or pendulum. So they're looking to see what resources USA Curling has, especially in getting instructors. I think what our issue is, we have two organizations that deal with adaptive curling in the Triangle, one for juniors and one for adults. But everyone is a 501c3. So they all expect everything for free because we're a 501c3, they're a 501c3. So getting funding for this is kind of beating us. It's beating us up.
Understood.
So we're not looking for anything right now. We're looking to take advantage of the next Olympics, next to Paralympics.
Sure.
Actually, to take what's going on.
Motion detected at the back door.
So we're not sure. So is there some place we can reach out to USA Curling to kind of get some guidelines for this?
Yeah, it's a great question, Cliff, and I will say your club is probably as good as many for wheelchair curling, so I don't think you're letting that stop you, but don't let that stop you. So Mark DePerno, who works with us as a contractor with the wheelchair team. He's the one who does the most connecting VAs and does classification camps, et cetera. So Cliff, send me an email, and if you don't mind to copy Pete Annis on it. You can find him in a staff email as well, but it's pete.annis@USA Curling. And we'll do our best to help you partner with local VAs, as Phil points out, is a good one. And Mark has done this at like he did one at Windy City in Chicago. So there are ways to get people out. I will say it's not easy.
No, it's not.
We've
been working on the organization we have is called Bridge 2 Sports.
Okay.
And they're adults. They run the Valor Games every year in the Southeast. Unfortunately, their Valor Games are 3 weeks after we take out our ice.
Sure.
So we're never synced because they're at the end of May and we take our ice out at the beginning of May. So we've never synced up with them in that regard, although we'd like to with the Valor Games.
I'll connect you with one other group too, Move United, which I know the CEO of that group, and I think they could be helpful as well. Just real quick on that, and then I'll stop for the wheelchair instruction. We're actually, we've been Patrick McDonald and now some others. We'd like to just incorporate it into the level 1 training so that if you're a level 1 trainer, level 1 instructor, you know to teach wheelchair curling. So it's in there now, but it's not particularly substantial or in depth. So we're gonna pump that section up, and I think we have some good material to put in there.
Yeah, Keith Scott. Keith Scott.
Yeah.
So he's been in touch with Mark DePerno. So we know about.
Okay.
So he knows Mark. So the issue we have is someone reached out to us from Virginia. Who's a wounded vet,
Yeah.
who's going to the Invictus Games in Lake Placid,
Yeah.
I believe. So, and I believe Mark DePerno is going to be giving a course there for the wheelchair specific curlers at the Invictus Games. But
Okay.
this guy wanted
Yeah.
it kind of so he's actually coming to the Triangle next week
Okay.
from Virginia for us to kind of give him a preamble to wheelchair curling.
So
Yeah, I think he wants to see if he can do it. Because he's already reached out to Potomac, and unfortunately their wheelchair instructor is not available. And I think Cape Cod wasn't quite in their bailiwick. I'm not sure why, but anyway, he's coming to Triangle.
all right. Well, in the spirit of, one of the reasons we have this club council is because we don't have all the answers. And Liz from Cape Cod, where they've had good success with wheelchair curling.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm going to guess you probably talked to them, but
Yep.
I'm sure they're willing to share some of their success or unsuccessful stories too. And they have a lot going on there. So yeah, it's not easy. I mean, and Liz's point is, we just talk to anyone about in a wheelchair to encourage them to try curling. I tend to do that too, Liz. Actually, I tend to talk to anybody in elevators to tell them to try curling. So I'm fairly relentless. So yeah. Well, if you've already connected with Mark, I won't reconnect you. I will reach out to Move United though, Cliff. I don't know if you've had any contact with them, but they're an adaptive national adaptive sports group. They're at this.
All right. I will give that information to our DEI committee as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So that they know.
Yep. Mike from Superior, your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. I'm just curious. Recently, we put in our ice, and it's always a long, drawn-out process. And I've been looking at these pre-printed ice rinks for curling and wondering if anybody has any experience with those and would like to pick their brains and ask them some questions offline. So if anybody has any information, I'll put my contact information in the meeting chat, and they can get a hold of me.
Great. Yeah, I'll be honest, I fear different reviews on like those hack systems. So, but obviously this is a great forum for anybody who has that at their club. Connect with Mike on it. I don't know what Lauren's feelings are on those, but yeah, it is always a process getting that ice in, isn't it? Let me see if any, Bernie, you've got your hand up.
Go. Hey, I had a quick question about the membership dues and the rosters.
Sure.
I know the rosters due the 30th. When do the dues need to be sent to USA Curling?
Once we invoice you, so send in the roster.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, and then Lauren turns around and invoice. Obviously, we're probably going to get a bunch more in the next 2 weeks, so you might get lucky and the invoice might take a little longer to land than we'd like. So, but that's how it works.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate that information. Thanks.
If anyone's ready to send in their rosters early, please don't wait until November 30th. I think I've gone through about 25 clubs so far, renewing memberships and club memberships and individual memberships. So yeah, if you want to get ahead of the curve, go ahead and submit early. You don't have to wait.
I'll let them know, Lauren. Thanks.
I will just reiterate to everybody on this call just how much we do appreciate all our member clubs, and we certainly appreciate it. Clubs that are collecting member dues. And if you get in by the 30th, we give you that rebate back per member on your member club fee. So yeah, definitely appreciate all the work that people do. I know the membership job or the treasurer job at most clubs is one of the more thankless ones, but it's pretty critical both for the club and frankly for us. So appreciate it. I think in the last meeting, and I don't know if anybody's I just encourage you to continue to percolate on this. Selfishly, we're just looking for ideas, but for things we can do better to serve clubs during next year's Olympic Games, we're working to have a package out towards, early summer, to help with ideas to help clubs and materials that could be helpful. So any thoughts there, things clubs could use, during that time when you're busy and you're getting a lot of people coming in to try curling, and then any ideas on how we improve conversion rates, what you've had that's successful. Feel free to share those with me via email or just to the general info address, which we'll see, but would really like to figure out how we can, really maximize that time in what is closer than we all realize, right? Well, actually, we're realizing it now as an organization, just how close it is as we do some planning around it.
Dean, I have one more thing around memberships that I wanted to mention.
Go for it.
I think everyone here is probably aware, but if there's anything that you guys can do to let your members know that all unrenewed memberships will expire on November 30th. So if your club has submitted a roster and I haven't processed it yet by November 30th, then those memberships will appear to be expired in Sport 80. We will recognize that the membership is valid, but it just hasn't been pushed to Sport 80 yet when that happens. Also, if your club submits after November 30th, there will be a lapse in what your members appear or will see as their membership. So if you can just, if you're able to communicate that to your members that, hey, we've submitted the roster, we're just waiting for USA Curling, and it might take a little while before it shows back up there. I would really appreciate that. I'm going to try to set up an email that will go out to people whose memberships are expiring soon, kind of trying to explain this, but I'm trying to minimize panic if people see that their memberships have expired and they know that their club is managing their renewal. So just trying to communicate around that as much as we possibly can.
Thanks. I see Jim from Frogtown's got his hand up.
Yeah, if folks had signed up with an auto renewal, is that impacted at all by this Sport 80 or this changeover, or will it just automatically renew?
Auto renews will just automatically renew at whatever level they're currently at. So if you have a competitor membership that's set to auto renew, you'll be auto renewed back to competitor on November 30th. If you have basic, it'll go back to basic. If you have one of the So if you have premium, which I think there's a handful of people that might have premium on, we don't have the premium membership anymore. So that will also default back to basic, and then you can upgrade if you want to a different membership type. When members have auto renewal on and their club submits them on their roster, we don't invoice the clubs for those membership dues because we see that they're already paid or they're going to be paid. Same if somebody from your club, if you're managing the roster submission for your club and you have a member that's already paid in Sport 80, I can usually find those members and deduct them from your invoice. So you don't get double charged for, you don't get charged for the membership that they've already paid for, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks, Lauren.
It's fairly clear on the invoice that Lauren has created and put together. You basically credited for those members, and that shows up. Just in case people wonder, why this process is this way and why we are more likely to have people be members when clubs collect and submit rosters, et cetera. So, that's why we still do what we refer to as a bulk upload of rosters into Sport 80. There are some clubs, for instance, Rock Creek, where they require their members to join online and they don't let them play if they don't have a basic membership. But I understand, we're trying to make this easy for clubs, and easy is often the way it's been done before. So, but things like that's one of the reasons why, Lauren has to do some work to generate the invoice.
Cliff has his hand up.
Yep.
Whoops. One last question for me. I'm
Sure.
interested in your coaches training, but I haven't seen the modules yet or anything yet. Is that not up yet, or is it still work in progress?
So the modules are ready, Cliff, and I'm glad you asked that question because I think in the last board meeting I had, it was on the page I usually share called What Keeps Me Awake at Night. So the modules are ready. It's the typical, I mean, I wish I knew how to write code or something, but the integration between Sport 80 and Slow Coach, which is the platform we're using for that, is what's holding it up. Every day I talk to Craig Perry about it every day, and we've given them a deadline of the 15th. Really, the drop dead deadline would be the 30th when memberships start again. So they know it has to be ready by then. So yeah, we continue to lean on that. Added to software headaches, I guess. But the modules are ready to go. And we just need the integration with Sport 80.
Okay.
And just to clarify, we need that integration because Slow Coach doesn't have any insight on its own to our members and our member data. So they will do a handshake with Sport 80 to make sure that you have the coach membership, which is what gives you access to those modules.
Yeah, I already did the coach membership because our club roster has already been updated. So
got it.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I hope. Well, I'm committed that on the 30th you'll be able to access, or in December 1st you'll be able to access all of those things. We do. It's important to us for a number of reasons. It's a new membership, and we also want to roll out some in-person courses, and we need that in place. So it's not something we're not working at, apart from me writing code, which wouldn't help, I guess. But yeah, it just also so people know that the plan, if we're, if we comfortable with where things are right now, we use one software platform for our house. The plan is to move that content over to Slow Coach as well. We think it can be long-term a more dynamic platform. There's video options. There's a number of things we think we can make it work better for us and for our members. But first, we need it integrated. I think Jamie asked. I think we answered that, Jamie. But does the club have to pay by November 30th? No. Submit the roster, and then the invoices we send are due upon receipt. So
I got that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything anybody wants me to bring forward, or Brett's on the call too? Anything you want either of us to bring forward to the USOPC this week? So just actually, I could give you just a quick update on. We just had a NGB council, which is all the NGBs meeting at this, and just as we're frustrated by Sport 80 integration, there's a lot of frustration around some of the things related to Safe Sport, not in terms of is it effectively doing what it's supposed to do. So that's an ongoing conversation between NGBs, the USOPC, and Safe Sport. So any frustrations you might have with Safe Sport are not being ignored either. Unfortunately, that's a little above our pay grade at USA Curling to get that resolved. Anything else? As I say, as always, we definitely appreciate your time and the feedback. We learned a couple things tonight. I hope you got information you need. And I'm trying to see how many are on the call, but certainly appreciate your efforts to help. I hope help both your club, and you're certainly helping us. So appreciate it. If anybody has a league game tonight, good luck. I guess it's a little late actually for a lot of people. Well, not in the West Coast. So, but we'll meet again on the second Wednesday of December. Thanks, everybody.